That applies in this case. You'll then retire to decide a verdict. In order to reach a fair and just verdict, you must understand and follow the law as I explain it to you. For example, you have to understand the definition of the crimes that the defendant is charged with. You have to understand how convinced, one way or the other, you should be before you reach a verdict.
We're here at KingCast.net, Courts and Motorsports. And just now, in the Hillsborough South District Court, Cody Eller was found guilty of second-degree assault and reckless endangerment regarding William Hawksley, the motorcyclist whom was run off the road by Cody Eller.
Really a pretty simple case.
Counsel, stop. This is anything but simple. You're second in charge now behind Dennis Hogan in that prosecutor's office. You know damn well this isn't that simple. And it's not that simple primarily because you guys screwed up. There's an issue out here. Officer Stahl is on the Laurie List. And that's been noted as an issue in several newspapers. Union leader noticed it. And, you know, I've been at this trial. I've covered a lot of it from the inception. I rode up there, watched the trial go down. You know, I mixed it up with Cody Eller's defense counsel one day. And, you know, things have been very rocky in this case. And basically, with him being on that Laurie List, you know, I'm not saying that I buy the argument that there was a phantom SUV there. I don't know about all that. But what you did was, by not divulging the fact that Officer Eugene Stahl was on the Laurie List, you have raised a suspicion in this case. And that's a problem. And I'm upset because as a former state attorney, I'm looking at you guys, and I know you're not doing your job right. I'm upset as a former defense attorney because, you know, you're screwing potentially innocent victims. And as a motorcyclist, I'm pissed off because, you know, you may have jeopardized this verdict, and also because you may have gone after the wrong guy. I don't know what you did. But what you did was, you didn't do the right thing. And this is, you know, endemic of New Hampshire police. It's got to stop. I've won more criminal defense trials than I've lost. I'm telling you, you guys got to pick up your game. You know, Jesus Christ. I got one more thing before I return to this closing argument from the state. The judge in this file sealed the case. And I don't agree with that. I think this is a matter of public concern. The issues in Officer Stahl's background include integrity and candor at a police stop. I'm not going after him for the shootout that happened right before the trial, and he was cleared of that. But these are serious issues, and there's another case out there too, I understand. And on this case right here that I'm pointing at, I believe the case was thrown out on the DUI because of Officer Stahl. So you got issues out here. And I'm not the one with all the money here, but union leaders got a lot of money. They got big-time lawyers. You know, they need to be suing to have this case unsealed. That's just it. And I'll tell them right to their face, you know, you're not doing your job either. Somebody, please, do your job.
There was an awful lot of testimony. There was a bunch of scientific testimony that I didn't understand. And when we said, I'm often not the smartest person in the room unless I'm alone. So I'm not sure that anybody understood it except for the experts. But it's a simple case. Either you believe what everybody said in the initial part of this investigation, including Mr. Eller, the defendant, or you believe what Mr. Eller said after he met with his investigators, because they're wholly different things. In the very beginning of this case, the defense has been trying to pull the wool over your eyes. Remember what the first thing he said to you was? He said, Mr. Eller welcomes this opportunity to come up here and tell his story because he hasn't had the chance to tell his story before. Us big, mean prosecutors prevented him from telling his story. But that wasn't true. He was interviewed by the police at the scene. He could have said anything he wanted to. And what did he say? I'm not going to let him pass me. You know. And when he was asked, did you drive over the line to hit him intentionally? He said, yes. I wasn't going to let him pass. And then we learned that he was given an opportunity to talk to Officer Stahl at the Pelham Police Department shortly after the incident. And he agreed to talk to him and then decided to change his mind and said, no, I'd rather talk to my mother first. So in fact, he had plenty of opportunity to talk to the police and to the prosecutors through the police in contradiction to what you were told in the beginning of the case. There was a 300 feet south of Gordon Road, or Gordon Drive, on Lowell Road or Wyndham Road. That was explained by Officer Stahl that he made a mistake, that was backfilled by the computer system and it wasn't where he intended to put it in, and he owned up to it. That's one of the deals with being a prosecutor. You know, you've got to try your cases with all the warts and wrinkles. You can't make stuff up, and we weren't going to try to tell you that was something he didn't do wrong. He did it wrong. And we said, no, that's not where it was. It was someplace different. You know, we don't know exactly where it was, but it was someplace north of that location that the defense has predicated its case on. And what's the second thing they predicated their case on? It's the story that Cody Eller told to his investigators about 4 weeks after the accident, after he'd had a chance to talk with his lawyers, after he'd had a chance to talk to his mom. All of a sudden, a phantom SUV appears. What did Bill Oxley say? He said he was driving down the road, and as he was trying to pass the second car that was in line, the car accelerated and swerved into him. It hit him on the right-hand side. He believed that it hit him from the front of the car. Okay, maybe it hit him in the rear of the car. Does that make a difference? The thing that's germane about it is the fact that the car swerved over because he wasn't going to let him pass. He wasn't going to let him pass me. And when the officer was kind of amazed at this statement, as Attorney Kay said, this is unusual to have somebody come up and just confess to a crime right off the bat. Crossed that line into the car, and what did Cody Eller say? Yes, I did it intentionally. I wasn't going to let him pass. Again, no mention of an SUV in that initial statement. You'd think, if somebody saw a car coming and drove a motorcycle into him because there was an oncoming car and the motorcycle tried to get back in, would that be something that you'd mention to a police officer? Of course it is. And when he was given his opportunity to explain, you can take what you want, Officer Stahl said that he waived his Miranda rights, but he would not talk to him because he wanted to talk to his mother. Cody Eller told you, oh no, I gave him a statement. He just didn't write it down. And there's just no gray area in there. Somebody's not telling the truth. And anyway, so he finally meets up with his investigators, and all of a sudden, an SUV appears. It hasn't been mentioned by anybody up until this time. And, what are we supposed to think about that? We heard testimony that Peter Chasen, when he talked to the investigators, they tried to get him to change his story, but he wouldn't. And he came in here and testified the way he testified at the scene, at the police station, the trooper Pelletier, and then he finally testified. He was consistent all the way through it. He wouldn't change his story that way. So that's the way it happened,
We need to be proactive and start thinking of what types of creative punishments that we can offer to the court. Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines again.
Activist up in New Hampshire, Chris has been, unfortunately, the only voice that has been relentlessly on the Cody Eller case. If there were more people like Chris King across this presentation, quite frankly, there would be less people like Cody Eller. Okay?
Well, folks, we may recall last week I rode old Yeller up to New Hampshire for the trial of Cody Eller, State versus Cody Eller, involving this man, William Hawksley. And I thought that the conviction was secured, and that pending appeal, that was it. Well, that's not it, as I explained to this attorney in Washington, which is where I am recording this anyway. It's very interesting now because there has been a production by the state of list, which is information that is exculpatory in nature, and it involves that man, Eugene Stahl. And his testimony at trial perhaps could be that issue. I don't really know just yet, but the Laurie List is not a good thing to be on. I don't know exactly what the issues are, but stay tuned. And as I say, we don't know the exact reason why Officer Stahl is on the Laurie List. However, as I say, it's not a good place to be on, and it could jeopardize the verdict in this case. So we've got to stay tuned and see what's in his background and what comes up. But it's most likely going to result in a motion for a new trial. And we're sitting there now, we're watching the judge, opposing counsel, prosecution and defense counsel there at the jury view last week. We went out for that before the conviction. We'll have to stay tuned, but this is indicative of how law enforcement operates in New Hampshire, from Kelly Ayotte to her successor, Mike.
Yeah. If we can get more writers to answer these questions, we'll have a much better level of responsible attention from these elected officials, from these judges. So
yeah, exactly. I think that combined with the fact, like I say, and I'm going to work toward an idea. Maybe you guys can put some ideas together too, because, like I say, the mass media dropped the ball, and these certain motorcyclist websites dropped the ball. We need to be proactive and start thinking of what types of creative punishments that we can offer to the court to file on behalf of motorcyclists to say, look, we think Mr. Eller ought to spend some serious time with motorcycle training courses. He needs to himself help, clean the motorcycles off at these training courses, okay? Something of that nature. I can't think right now, but that's just one idea to make him accountable directly to the motorcycling community.